Hi there, welcome back to the channel. In today's episode, we're going to deal with my 2017 BMW F700GS that's actually due to have its valves looked at, make sure that there was in spec. So, bit of a task, but I've got the BMW manual, so I should be in good shape. And not only do I have the BMW manual, but I have the torque fixed that's required to take this bike apart. And so we are ready to rock and roll. So first things first, let's get this thing apart and we'll get to a point where we can start checking things out. Awesome. So our first step is I have a Givi tank bag that has this ring mounting system. So this, I got to take this thing off. So I have my little wrench, there's a small Allen. Okay, so we'll see if we can get this off of here. I guess these guys are kind of come off regardless, so no point in holding on to them. Okay, there we go. And then we'll put these aside. Okay, so theoretically, was taking that off, then this panel comes off without too many problems, so that kind of opens it up. And then comes the fun part of taking the plastic off of the bike. So basically, the plastic has to come off. Our friend over here has to come off because we basically needs to get underneath there, underneath the valve cover. So, okay, well, now that we've got that off, time to go find the appropriate tools and get going. First step first. That one's off. Now what you're left with, I believe the ignition stays put, and then we have a wire for the special BMW 12 volt adapter that we should be able to take off. There it goes, awesome. Got to know how to work the plug. That's the trick to all these things. Next is we got to get to the point where actually I think our next step most likely will be just to take the side covers off. That will definitely make it a little bit easier to get to all the rest of the stuff. So we'll see if it should be the exact same torque bit for all these guys. So we're gonna get this a little bit quicker. I went ahead and just got my drill to kind of help get these little screws off a little bit quicker. Sometimes I forget about that, so. Okay, so I got the drill with a regular Phillips, just part of my windshield. So the theory is this out, and do the last bit by hand. I should be able to then pull the rest of the side of plastic off. And I believe now's this time where this thing has to kind of come apart somehow. Take a quick look. But I recollect, oops. And we lost a little piece here, but we had to do that last time. Okay, so this guy goes in here. Okay, so now that we got the fairing off, last but not least, we do have to disconnect the turn signal. So, okay, so this took a lot longer than anticipated. This little plug was not the easiest. So it turns out that at the bottom of the plug, there's a little tab, and you got to stick your finger in that tab as you pull it out at the same time. We looked online, didn't have a whole lot of luck to be quite frank, and so finally just figured it out. But yeah, nothing like taking 20 minutes to take off a plug on one of these modern motorcycles. Good times. Okay, we'll put this aside, and now we'll jump to the other side, which will be hopefully the same. Okay, so all the screws are out of this one. Hopefully we'll have a little less trouble with the turn signals. So as the saying goes, about to find out. Look what we have over here. Oh, there it goes. Oops. And okay, get my beautiful assistant to hold on to this again. And we're going to find out if we can take this out a little bit easier than last time.
We got this, so you got to figure out how to... There.
We got the front fender also. Okay, so we'll put this up. So that, I think, concludes taking the plastic off. So the next thing is going to be taking this whole entire thing off. So we'll get to that next. Awesome. Thanks. Okay, so next step is we're going to take the battery out. So first things first, we'll disconnect the wires. So we'll get the ground off. This is a bit of a pain afterwards to get on, unfortunately, because there's the nut that floats freely underneath. Don't ask me how I know, other than from trying to get the power to the GPS and to my jacket. So again, quite a few. So let's have a look. We've got all these wires. We're going to try and control them all. And then this plastic thing is going to come off. So okay, so everything's out. So in theory, I should be able to grab this, move it to the side, grab all this, and also move it to the side. The idea being I don't necessarily want to mess too much with any of this stuff. So we have the battery here, which we can now pick up and move to the side. Okay, so that concludes the removal of the battery. So the next step is we're going to take off the air filter, and this is kind of the what it's called, the intake air silencer is what it's called. So that's our next step. Awesome. So next step is to take the air filter out, which is pretty simple. There's four more of these fun little bolts. Now the theory is I should be able to grab this and pull it out. There's the cover. The cover is kind of being held in place right now, compliments of some of these wires. So if you pop them out, there's some little areas that are running. So that should be okay. And here's actually where the filter lives in this thing. So that's number one. So in the meantime, we're going to leave the filter in place just to make sure if something falls in, it doesn't go in there. So that takes the air filter out. Now we got to get this air box out. So for that, I've got the handy dandy BMW step-by-step instructions. So we'll see how that goes. So remove air cell and disconnect connector for the intake air temperature sensor. Okay. So I'm going to use a screwdriver. Not sure you can see a whole lot, but I'm just going to push, and voila. Okay, so that one's done. So next step is we're going to grab some, there's a couple of bolts that are in there. So we'll take those out and we'll proceed. Awesome. So I think I'm going to use my wife's suggestion and zip tie some of this stuff. So I think for really more than anything else, this guy is going to kind of be in the way. I don't really want to deal with any more disassembly than I have to. So we're just going to zip tie this temporarily to the handlebars. So next step is we'll take out these 2 screws in here. Here's one. Okay. That one's out. Grab the washer. Put that away. Okay, so next, there's a couple of nuts that need to come out. And they are located right at the base of this guy. So we need to figure that out. That looks like, I'm going to say, 8mm maybe. Okay, so that's that. Those 2 nuts. So there should be a cable tie here. Need to disconnect from there. So this pops up. Okay. And then there is a hose underneath that supposedly is accessible. Well, there it is, yep. And we will need to go grab a towel so we can see what's going on. So, okay, great. So we disconnected this hose. I didn't video it. There really wasn't enough room to do it. So, but he's disconnected it. So in theory, this guy should be able to be pulled out now, except for the fact that there is a zip tie that is holding it in place. So we'll cut the zip tie. And theoretically, we should be able to get this out of here. Okay, voila. And here we have the cylinder, the valve cover actually. I went ahead and put a towel over the 2 throttle bodies. I don't want any fun stuff falling in there by mistake. So now I think we got to get this guy out of the way. And then once this guy's out of the way, then we'll be in good shape to start pulling this hole apart. So awesome, good deal. So next step is to remove the ignition coils. So I believe if you kind of push down here, and wow, can you believe that? There's 1, then 2. Wow, that's amazing. So to remove, these are the coils. There's a variety of these guys on Amazon. They're kind of a coil puller. Looks like it takes a little bit of effort, that's for sure. Because it's not... Oops, and there it goes. Okie doke, awesome. Wow, that's gonna leave a mark as this thing goes. Okay, so we'll get this one off. And again, it's really, really on there. Which I'm sure why there's a special tool for it. There it goes. And then at some point in time, we're gonna want to take those spark plugs out. They are way the heck down in there, as you can tell. So it says to remove the retaining strap securing the clutch cable, which is this one right here. Okay, so there's that. And then it said we're gonna have to remove some of these other guys right here, because if not, we're not going to be able to. And the next will be to remove the screws from the valve cover. So I actually got a new gasket set for the cylinder head. And as part of it, it includes new screws. So I'm not sure what the thought process is behind that. So we did have one ignorant screw here. I'm pretty certain it's not connected to anything. So I think we can just take the valve cover off. One less thing to have to worry about is what my thoughts are. So we'll see. Does it or not? There's that. So there was a little bit of a ridge there that was holding that over there. So now the question is, what's holding this over here? Well, we definitely don't want to force anything. So don't ask me how we got it off, but we got it off. It took about a game of like almost Tetris between these wires, the cable, the electric, this lip right here. It was took a lot of effort to get this out. So okay, so now we have the timing gear and the chain exposed. So now we can go through and start checking the valves. So that'll be next. Awesome. So first things first, we're going to take the spark plugs out of the cylinders to help turn the engine over. So I already kind of loosened them up. I have basically a 16mm wrench that I got from Amazon. I'd actually got it from an Audi project, and it works perfect here since it has a magnet and especially designed for these kind of a deep socket type spark plugs location. So these are good. The tip of the spark plug actually looks in pretty decent shape, so we'll put that aside. And then the next trick is we've got to turn the engine to where the marks align up on the front of the timing gears, which is basically on the left side of the bike. So now, interesting enough, and I'm going to move this over, there's actually a set of, you use a 24mm wrench. There's actually a nut looking thing here at this end of the camshaft that allows you to turn the engine over. So obviously you got to turn the engine in kind of the direction of that it runs. The manual doesn't really tell you what that is, but it's actually clockwise. So just going to keep that in mind. And so as we turn this, what we have here at the bottom is some timing gears, and I'll show you exactly what we're looking at here in a sec as I reposition the camera. So for the left side of the motorcycle, so we need to get these two timing marks lined up. So one side we have the EX and the other side we have the IN. So there's a couple lines. We're not 100% there, but I just need to just bump it ever so slightly. So to check those valves, basically you gotta get this all lined up. Then to check the right side of the bike, then you basically get those marks to where they're on the opposite side, basically facing kind of over here and over here, not as easily seen. So for the time being, once I adjust this ever so slightly, we'll be in a position to check the valves on the left-hand side of the bike as we were kind of looking away from it. So basically, it would be these valves right here. So awesome. We'll try that. See what that looks like. Okay, that looks pretty darn close to being lined up, so I'm going to call that good. So next step is go grab my feeler gauge and go from there. It is worth noting, if you look at the air box, it actually tells you exactly what the valve clearances should be. So, which I'm assuming is the same numbers that are in the manual, so just as an FYI. So for the intake, which is on this side, it's between 0.18mm to 0.26. So I have the 0.178 and the 0.254. If we put them in here, so here are our two valve lobes, one on each side. So I'm going to put the 0.178 in here first. Let me just kind of get these back. Yep, and that goes in no problem. So that's good. Yep, not a problem. And then I'm going to go to the upper end, which is 0.254, slightly less than the 0.26, and see if it'll go in. And it is not wanting to go in, which is good. And just for funsies, I have a middle of the road one. I'm not sure if that makes a difference or not. But let's see what the middle of the road one does. Yep, that can go. That one does go in. On that side, it will not go in on this side though. Oh, nope, there it is. So yeah, 0.2 will go in. 0.26 will not go in. We'll just do one last double check here, make sure. Nope. Okay, good. So these back ones are a little harder to get to. So I've got my 0.2, this is a 0.28, which is the smallest one I have really. Actually the closest to 0.27, so we'll try to get it right there on the, yep, so that one goes through. And then we'll try it over here. Yep, that one went through too. So let's get at the high end. So the high end is, I believe we said 0.35. We'll double check that real quick. 0.35. So we'll try a 0.33. See how that looks. Because the next one is 0.356. So this is the closest one I have. See if we can get this one in. Make sure there's only one of them here. Yep. Nope. That one will not go in. Nope. So that will not go in. And just for funsies, let's just see what will go in. So yeah, anyway, so the good news is that we have, this side is good. So now we need to basically rotate it around. So we have top dead center this side, and it will check these valve clearances over here. Okay, awesome. Okay, so for our next trick, we need to rotate this around so the timing marks flip to where they're actually lined up on the outside edge of the case. So we're going to put our 24mm wrench here and work our way ever so slowly in the correct direction. So we know it's going to be at least a decent amount of revolution. So so looking at this, I'm going to start looking for the timing marks real quick, see what's going on. And we're actually getting kind of close. At least maybe we are. We'll have to see. Okay, so that looks like it might be the right location. And I believe it is. So I'll relocate the camera to kind of show what I'm talking about. Okay, so unfortunately it's kind of hard to tell, but you can see the X over there lining up with the line. And if we move it around, maybe or maybe not, you might be able to, let me see if we can get this clutch cable out of the way. See that in there, the other timing mark is kind of level. So now that we're on both sides over there, we can now go check out the valves on the right-hand side of the bike and make sure they're in good shape. Awesome. Once again, we'll start on the intake. So 0.26 is the max. So we'll try this one, see if it'll fit through. Nope. Nope. That's good. Then we'll try the 0.18. Oh yeah, that goes in. That goes in. Okay, so back to the exhaust valves. And the exhaust valves are, as a reminder, 0.27 to 0.35. So we'll try the 0.35 first. And then we'll work our way down to 0.37. Okay, so this is 0.35. Nope, not going anywhere over there, that's for sure. And this is 0.35 over here. Now we'll go to the 0.27. Yep. Not a problem with that one, that's for sure. Not a problem with that one either. So that is definitely good. So I would have to say valves are checked. Now the next thing is to clean all this up. I've got a new gasket over here. There's a gasket over here that most likely is going to have to get replaced. Got a new one for that. And then it's a question of putting it all back together. So yeah, mission accomplished. Valves have been checked. Awesome. So good news. I have the valve cover area all cleaned up. Got the kind of the goop taken off of it. There was some kind of there's actually a special sealant that's required in the little, what I like to call the wheel wells in front of these timing gears. So that was something that needed to be scraped up. Got that done. So really, my thoughts is first step is put the spark plugs back in, just to make sure that we don't get any stuff inside the actual cylinder head. So I have some anti-seize I'm going to put on the spark plugs. I did check the torque, not the torque spec, the spark plug gaps. For this particular bike, they recommend it to be right at 0.9 millimeters. So I actually had to adjust it ever so slightly. So not a problem. So and I said before, I have my nice little magnetic spark plug wrench. This goes right in there. Click, and then we'll bring it in here. And just screw it in by hand initially. Down in the hole. And get that screwed in temporarily. Okay, so I found my torque wrench. Basically, I actually have an electronic torque wrench. These things work really good. Mainly because you can actually tell how close you're getting to your torque value. So we are 20 Newton meters for this spark plug, so we'll get them on. And that's it. Got the little red beep. I said it is kind of nice having the electronic torque wrench because you get an idea of how much you still left to go, which a normal torque wrench would not give you. So once you hit the beep and the red light, that's it. So spark plugs are in and they have now been torqued. So good deal, awesome. So our next trick is there's this gasket right in there that we have to take out. We got a new one that I ordered. I figured if it's going to take everything apart, might as well get a new one for that. That I believe is for the crankcase breather. So we'll go pull that guy out, put a new one in, and then really the next step is to put the valve cover on. So awesome. Now, unfortunately, it's going to be kind of tough to actually show what I'm doing here, but as you can see, the gasket's right here. So I'm going to try to at least initially see if I can just poke it out with my fingers. Here it goes. And it's actually a little stiff, so maybe it's not a bad idea that I got a new one. So yeah, so first things first, we'll get a brand new one and stick it in there. It'll be good. So the new one looks pretty much like the old one, so we'll put it back in the hole it came from. Hopefully that's not a... So this is kind of the gaskets that I ordered from BMW. So it was basically a kit. Did not include the crankcase breather seal that I just put in. That was separate. It does also not include this tube of special sealant, which is required to put around the little wheel wells of the valve cover gasket. So it has to go in here. But so it does come up with a new valve cover gasket. It comes up with new bolts and also the rubber washers, so up top. And then there's the gasket that goes around the spark plugs. So my thoughts are we'll put the gasket first that goes around the spark plugs. So that'll be number one. And number two is we'll need to go ahead and get the sealant put on the valve cover gasket. So that should just be fairly simple. Clink, 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 clink. That's something nice and good. And then I said we'll have to go ahead and grab our friend here. And we need to put sealant going all the way from here. So you can see it basically from this point here to this point here. So, and then that'll go in there. So let me check it out real quick and then we'll carry on. Awesome. Well, as the saying goes, here comes nothing. So here's our the Bond 1209 that BMW recommends. So we've got it popped. It basically goes, of course it's not very good. Now, the good news is this is all going on machine surfaces, so. Okay. Okay, so we got that on. So next step is we'll go ahead and get that onto the valve cover area. Okay, so we'll get these lined up over here. Unfortunately, I think the camera is in the wrong position for you to be able to see what I'm doing. Sorry about that. We'll get this on here. And we'll see how this is going to work. You can see what's going on?
Well, I'm wondering,
Okay. Well, sorry folks, but we're gonna have to most likely turn the camera off until we figure this out, so. Okay, so that took a lot of effort. It was a massive challenge trying to get the actual gasket lined up inside the valve cover. So anyway, the sealant says to immediately put force on it of, I don't know, 5 bar, whatever the deal. So I think we missed the immediately part, but hopefully we're close enough. So these are the brand new screws or bolts that came with it. So we'll get these guys in here. We have a torque spec of 10 Newton meters, and they recommend you tighten them diagonally opposite. So what we'll do is we'll start at 5, and then we'll work our way down to, or up to 10. So that's kind of my thoughts on that. Leak at the valve covers, that would be bad. So we'll continue the opposites just by hand. So we'll start again. There you go, that way we can see what we're doing. So we can just, if we really want to, I guess we can just go one at a time. Three. Four. Okay. So we have been a little bit busy. We got the valve cover in here. We've got these wires hooked back into where they belong. Took a little gander at the previous video to see where, make sure I got all these zip ties in correct. So that's in for the time being. So we're good to go over there. I believe this plate went in here somewhere. There's only one way it can really go. So that was in there. It should have some little aligning holes that it fits into. Right there. So that plate's in where it belongs. So really next step is to put the coils in. So we'll put the left coil in over here. Okay, we'll plug her in while we're at it. Okay, so that's in. And then we'll put the right coil in. And get that in there also. Okay, so that's it. Good, good. Okay, so I think our next step at this point in time is to get the airbox back on. So these are actually pretty handy. You don't really need them. A pair of pliers will do the trick, but it just makes life so much easier when you have this little tool, because you can literally come in here, grab this, grab that, and if everything lines up correctly, we'll do it one more time. So if everything lines up correctly, you can just pretty much go like this, then click, and click. So nicely opens up, makes it a lot easier to deal with than just messing around with pair of pliers. So we'll go ahead and grab the airbox and put it on, and then we'll continue. Okay, so for our next step, we will get the airbox on, and we'll actually get the breather hose on the airbox. Okay, so my beautiful wife is here to help us. So Kath, if you could just kind of hold this up like this a little bit, so I can hook this up over here. At least kind of see what I'm doing. Take one more look. Yeah, I think that's good. So now the trick is just to get these guys lined up and popped in. I'm sure it's easier said than done, but obviously there's got to be a way to do it. So they are, and maybe the way to do it is just like that. Just push it in and voila. Boy, that seemed almost too easy. Anyway, so that's in. That's good. Okay, time to get the airbox tied back to the bike. So we'll get the nuts put on. Actually, we have torque values for these from the BMW manual, so that's good. I'm a huge fan of torque values. The rubber gaskets in the throttle body, there's a little bit of give. That needs to happen for all these screws to align. Okay, so per the manual I have, it says that the torque value is, for those M6x25 is 6 Newton meters. So we'll grab our handy dandy electronic torque wrench. We will tighten that up. So we've got that. Next is to torque the bolts at the bottom, and those are really not hardly worth it, but it's 2.5 Newton meters, so it's not very gung-ho, that's for sure. So okay, so really next steps are we're going to go ahead and put the air cleaner in, so get that put back where it belongs. And I believe this goes in here like this. Let's see, air cleaner, good. It's there. And there's no torque specs for these, so we'll just tighten them up. And next step is put the battery back in. Make sure I have it pointing in the right direction. Okay, good. Okay, let's take out my zip tie and get the battery back in. I can tell you right now that's easier said than done, mainly because there's these two nuts that go right there that are always just super difficult to get started. They're not the easiest, just because the actual bolt does not reach down that far. So it's always a big, giant hassle to try to get it to work. At least for me. Other people may have a better way of doing it. So, okay, this goes here. Right there. There's actually, this has a couple locations where these wires clip into, which is good. So that goes in there. That goes in here. That goes in there. And then this guy gets plugged in over here. And we'll just push it in with a screwdriver because I cannot seem to get, or a little wrench, my fingers do not seem to want to fit in there. So that guy's in there nice and good. Now, for the real fun part is getting all the stuff back to where it was before. So first things first, organize all these cables. Okay, so consulting my pictures, this is the way the red wires, the positive cables are supposed to kind of go. And then the big trick next is to try to figure out how to get our buddy here to come up. Now, I will say one thing, it's a lot easier when you don't have all the fairings in the way. And so you can kind of pop this guy up a little bit with a, I don't know, cut end off a zip tie and see if it works. So this looks like that's going to be successful. And here, just tie the battery down. And voila. Okay, so I think this is where we're going to call it good for the time being. I'm going to go ahead and put the plastic on. And then right before we fire it back up, I will turn the camera back on and make sure this was a success. Awesome. So, good news, bike is back together, no extra pieces, that's all awesome. And I already tested it, but we'll just show it to you. It actually fired up quite nicely. Yeah, we did a quick run through and took a look at the gaskets, make sure nothing was leaking. So yeah, so anyway, I declare this project done. Awesome. Would also like to thank you for watching it if you made it this far. And if you have any comments or questions, go ahead and leave them down on the comments below. Other than that, until next time, bye-bye now. This video, hit subscribe and give us a big like down below. Thanks for watching.